Overview of the Battle of the Thames 1813. The Battle of the Thames, also known as the Battle of Moraviantown, was a significant conflict during the War of 1812 that took place on October 5, 1813. This battle marked a decisive victory for American forces against British and Native American allies, particularly those led by the Shawnee leader Tecumseh. The outcome had profound implications for control over the Northwest Territory and the future of Native American resistance in the region. Context and prelude to the battle. Following the Battle of Lake Erie on September 10, 1813, where American naval forces achieved a significant victory, British General Henry Proctor found his position in Detroit untenable. With American control over Lake Erie, Proctor was forced to retreat northward along the Thames River. Pursued by approximately 3,700 U.S. troops under Major General William Henry Harrison, Tecumseh's Confederacy of Native American tribes, which had allied with the British, was also in retreat but faced growing discontent among its ranks due to food shortages and lack of decisive action. Battle-east Harrison's forces caught up with Proctor's troops near Moraviantown. They found the British PORLY positioned. Proctor had only one cannon and had failed to fortify his lines adequately. The British troops were unprepared for an immediate confrontation. Having been ordered to abandon their breakfasteries, ordered an attack that began early in the morning. The American mounted riflemen charged through marshy terrain, breaking through British lines despite initial resistance from Tecumseh's warriors positioned on the flanks. The battle quickly turned chaotic for the British as their forces were overwhelmed. Many soldiers surrendered or fled during this engagement. Tecumseh was killed, a loss that severely weakened his Confederacy and diminished Native American resistance against American expansion in the region. Accounts vary regarding who fired the fatal shot, with both Colonel Richard Johnson and other soldiers claiming credit for killing him. Aftermath. Defeat at the Battle of the Thames resulted in significant consequences. Loss of control. The British lost control over southwestern Ontario as a result of this defeat. Collapse of Tecumseh's Confederacy. With Tecumseh's death, many Native American tribes abandoned their alliance with the British, leading to a fragmentation of indigenous resistance against U.S. expansion. Harrison's rise. General Harrison emerged as a national hero from this victory, which later contributed to his election as President of the United States in 1840. The battle concluded with American forces laying waste to areas around Detroit to disrupt British supply lines further as they returned victorious. The Battle of the Thames, fought on October 5, 1813, was a pivotal engagement in the War of 1812 that significantly influenced the conflict's trajectory. Here are the key impacts of this battle. Decisive American victory. The battle resulted in a decisive victory for American forces led by Major General William Henry Harrison against British troops and their Native American allies, primarily under the leadership of Tecumseh. This victory effectively ended British control in southwestern Ontario and marked a turning point in the struggle for dominance in the Northwest Territory. Impact on Native American alliances. Death of Tecumseh during the battle was particularly significant. He was a crucial leader who had united various tribes against American expansion. His death led to the disintegration of his Confederacy, severely weakening Native American resistance against U.S. territorial expansion in the region. Many tribes subsequently abandoned their alliances with the British, which diminished British influence among indigenous people, strengthening U.S. control over the Northwest. Following the battle, U.S. forces were able to consolidate their control over the Northwest Territory. The victory at Thames allowed American troops to return to Detroit with confidence, ensuring that this area remained relatively quiet for the remainder of the war. The battle also helped secure important supply lines and routes for further military operations against British forces in Canada. Political ramifications. Success at the Battle of the Thames catapulted Harrison into national prominence, setting him on a path toward future political success, including his eventual presidency. Victory bolstered American morale at a time when it was needed most. helping to galvanize public support for the war effort against Britain. The Battle of the Thames had profound implications for both military strategy and political dynamics during the War of 1812. It not only solidified U.S. control over critical territories but also marked a significant decline in Native American resistance, reshaping the balance of power in North America. Tecumseh, a prominent Shawnee chief, played a crucial role in the Battle of the Thames on October 5, 1813, during the War of 1812. His leadership and strategic acumen were pivotal in uniting various Native American tribes against American expansion into their territories. This speech will explore Tecumseh's contributions to the battle, the context surrounding it, and the lasting impact of his leadership. Background of Tecumseh born around 1768 in present-day Ohio. Tecumseh emerged as a significant figure in Native American resistance against U.S. encroachment. He sought to unite various tribes into a confederation to resist American expansion, believing that unity was essential for survival. His alliance with the British during the War of 1812 was a strategic move aimed at protecting native lands from American settlers. The War of 1812 and Tecumseh's alliance session. The War of 1812 broke out. Tecumseh allied with British forces, recognizing that their military support was vital for his cause. He quickly became a key figure for the British in Upper Canada, leading native troops in several engagements against American forces. His leadership was instrumental in significant victories, including the Siege of Detroit in August 1812, the Battle of the Thames, prelude to late 1813. Following the American naval victory at Lake Erie, British forces under Major General Henry Proctor found themselves in a precarious position. Proctor retreated towards Moraviantown along the Thames River, pursued by American troops led by Major General William Henry Harrison. Tecumseh and his warriors followed Proctor with hopes of mounting a defense. Strategic positioning at Moraviantown, Proctor and Tecumseh prepared to face Harrison's advancing forces. Proctor positioned his troops along a road with a swamp to their right flank where Tecumseh and his warriors took their stand. This placement was intended to provide a tactical advantage against the approaching Americans. The battle unfolds as the battle commenced on October 5, 1813. American forces charged towards the British line. Despite initial resistance from Proctor's men, they quickly faltered under pressure and began to retreat. Tecumseh's warriors attempted to hold their ground in the swampy terrain, engaging the Americans with fierce resistance. Tecumseh's leadership during the battle. Tecumseh demonstrated remarkable bravery and leadership. He rode along the lines encouraging his men and coordinating their efforts against the advancing Americans. However, as the battle progressed and British forces began to collapse, Tecumseh faced overwhelming odds. The death of Tecumseh amidst intense fighting. Tecumseh was killed during the battle. His death marked a significant turning point not only for his Confederacy but also for Native American resistance in general. Following his death, many of his allies lost their resolve to continue fighting against American expansion. Aftermath and impact. Defeat at the Battle of the Thames had far-reaching consequences for Native Americans in North America. With Tecumseh's death, many tribes abandoned their alliance with the British and faced increased pressure from U.S. settlers. The battle effectively dismantled Tecumseh's Confederacy and diminished Native American power in regions like Ohio, Indiana. Legacy of Tecumseh. Tecumseh is remembered as a symbol of Native American resistance and unity. His efforts to forge alliances among various tribes laid a foundation for future generations seeking to preserve their rights and lands. Despite his ultimate defeat at Thames, his legacy endures as a testament to indigenous resilience against colonial expansion. Tecumseh's role in the Battle of the Thames exemplifies his dedication to protecting native lands and uniting disparate tribes against common threats. His leadership not only influenced military outcomes during the War of 1812 but also shaped indigenous resistance movements long after his death. Understanding his contributions provides valuable insights into the complexities of early American history and indigenous struggles for autonomy and recognition. The U.S. victory at the Battle of the Thames on October 5, 1813, had significant implications for American politics. shaping the trajectory of national identity and party dynamics in the early 19th century. This decisive battle, fought during the War of 1812 against British and Native American forces led by Tecumseh, not only marked a turning point in military engagements but also influenced the political landscape of the United States. Context of the Battle of the Thames followed the American naval victory at Lake Erie, which had secured U.S. control over the region and forced British forces to retreat. Major General William Henry Harrison led approximately 3,500 U.S. troops against a combined force of British regulars and Native Americans, resulting in a swift defeat for the British and the death of Tecumseh, a critical figure in Native American resistance against U.S. expansion. The victory effectively dismantled Tecumseh's Confederacy and ended British influence over Native American tribes in the Northwest Territory. Political ramifications. Rise of nationalism. Victory at Thames fostered a sense of nationalism among Americans. The successful campaign against British forces was perceived as a validation of U.S. sovereignty and military capability. As a result, many began to view the War of 1812 as a second war of independence, reinforcing national pride and unity. This newfound sense of identity was crucial in shaping public perception of the United States as an independent nation rather than a collection of former colonies. Decline of Federalist Party. Aftermath of the Battle of the Thames also contributed to the decline of the Federalist Party. Federalists had opposed the war, fearing it would disrupt trade and harm their economic interests. Their opposition culminated in events like the Hartford Convention, where some members suggested secession from the Union. However, this stance backfired. As Americans celebrated military victories, Federalists appeared unpatriotic, leading to their political discrediting and eventual demise. The victory at Thames thus played a pivotal role in shifting political power towards more nationalist sentiments, embodied by emerging Democratic Republican leaders. Emergence of new leaders. Battle catapulted William Henry Harrison into national prominence. His leadership during this conflict earned him widespread acclaim and set him on a path toward future political success, culminating in his election as president in 1840. The political landscape was further influenced by figures like Richard Mentor Johnson, who claimed to have killed Tecumseh during the battle and later became vice president under Martin Van Buren. Shift in Native American relations. With Tecumseh's death and the disintegration of U.S. alliance, U.S. policies towards Native Americans shifted significantly. The absence of British support left many tribes vulnerable to American expansionist policies, leading to increased territorial acquisition by settlers and further conflicts with indigenous peoples. This shift laid the groundwork for future policies that would lead to forced removals and significant changes in Native American life. In summary, the U.S. victory at the Battle of the Thames was not merely a military triumph but a catalyst for profound political changes in early 19th century America. The battle reinforced national unity, contributed to the decline of opposition parties like the Federalists, elevated new leaders into positions of power, and reshaped relations with Native American tribes. As such, it played an essential role in defining American identity and politics during this formative period in U.S. history. The Battle of the Thames, fought on October 5, 1813, marked a pivotal moment in the War of 1812, particularly for Native American tribes in North America. The battle resulted in a decisive victory for American forces, led by Major General William Henry Harrison, and led to the death of the Shawnee leader Tecumseh. This event not only altered the course of the war but also had profound long-term effects on Native American tribes, significantly impacting their political, social, and territorial dynamics. The context of the battle. Before delving into the long-term effects, it is essential to understand the context surrounding the Battle of the Thames. Tecumseh had united various tribes in a confederation aimed at resisting American expansion into their territories. He sought to establish an independent indigenous nation with British support, believing that a strong alliance could protect Native Lands from encroachment by settlers, the British needed Native American allies to bolster their forces against the United States, leading to a mutual relationship based on shared interests. Despite initial successes and strategic advantages, the coalition faced overwhelming odds during the battle. Tecumseh's death not only signaled a significant loss for his confederation but also dismantled the unity among Native tribes that had been cultivated over years. Long-term effects on Native American tribes. 1. Loss of leadership and unity. Death of Tecumseh had immediate and devastating consequences for Native American unity. He was a charismatic leader who had successfully united diverse tribes under a common cause. His absence created a leadership vacuum that could not be filled, leading to fragmentation among tribes. Many tribes lost their motivation to resist American encroachment without a unifying figure like Tecumseh. 2. Diminished political power. Following the battle, the political landscape for Native Americans shifted dramatically. The defeat at the Thames effectively ended any hope for a unified indigenous front against American expansion. The U.S. government capitalized on this disarray by negotiating treaties that often favored American interests, resulting in significant land losses for Native tribes. The Treaty of Ghent 1814, which ended the War of 1812, did not address indigenous rights or land claims, further marginalizing Native Americans in political discussions. 3. Increased land loss and forced removal. In the decades following the Battle of the Thames, many Native American tribes faced forced removals from their ancestral lands as settlers moved westward. The U.S. government employed various strategies to acquire land through treaties that were often signed under duress or misrepresentation. Within 35 years of Tecumseh's death, many tribes east of the Mississippi River were forcibly relocated to reservations or other territories deemed less desirable by settlers. 4. Cultural impact and social disintegration. Loss of land and autonomy had profound cultural implications for Native American tribes. Traditional ways of life were disrupted as communities were disbanded or relocated. The imposition of foreign governance structures and societal norms led to significant changes in tribal identity and cultural practices. Many tribes struggled to maintain their cultural heritage amidst increasing pressure from American society. 5. Legacy of resistance. Despite these challenges, Tecumseh's legacy as a symbol of resistance endured among indigenous peoples. His vision for unity and independence inspired future generations to continue fighting for their rights and sovereignty. Various movements emerged throughout the 19th and 20th centuries that sought to reclaim indigenous identity and rights, drawing on Tecumseh's ideals. Long-term effects of the Battle of the Thames on Native American tribes were profound and multifaceted. From the immediate loss of leadership with Tecumseh's death to ongoing struggles with land loss, cultural disintegration, and political marginalization. The battle marked a turning point in indigenous history in North America. While it represented a significant defeat at that moment, it also laid the groundwork for future movements advocating for indigenous rights and sovereignty, reminding us that the spirit of resistance lives on in various forms across generations. The Battle of the Thames, fought on October 5, 1813, was a pivotal moment in the War of 1812 that significantly contributed to U.S. control over the Northwest Territory. This battle not only marked a decisive American victory against British forces and their Native American allies but also had lasting implications for the geopolitical landscape of the region. Background. Context leading up to the Battle of the Thames was shaped by earlier events in the War of 1812, particularly the American naval victory at the Battle of Lake Erie in September 1813. This victory allowed American forces to gain control over Lake Erie, effectively cutting off British supply lines and forcing British General Henry Proctor to retreat from Detroit with his troops and Native American allies, including the influential Shawnee leader Tecumseh. Proctor retreated northward along the Thames River. He was pursued by approximately 3,500 U.S. troops under Major General William Henry Harrison. The British forces consisted of about 600 regulars and 1,000 Native American warriors led by Tecumseh. Retreating British were demoralized and poorly supplied. which set the stage for an American offensive. The battle at Moraviantown, near present-day Thamesville, Ontario. Procter attempted to make a stand against Harrison's advancing forces. However, his position was precarious. He had not fortified his defenses adequately and was outnumbered. The battle commenced with a charge from Harrison's mounted Kentucky volunteers, who overwhelmed the British line quickly. Procter and a portion of his troops fled the battlefield, while many others surrendered. The engagement escalated when Tecumseh's warriors attempted to flank the Americans. In the ensuing chaos, Tecumseh was killed, which dealt a devastating blow to Native American resistance in the region. His death marked a turning point that led to the disintegration of his Confederacy and significantly weakened Native American alliances with the British. Aftermath and consequence. The aftermath of the Battle of the Thames solidified U.S. control over southwestern Ontario and reinforced American dominance in the Northwest Territory. With Tecumseh's death and the dissolution of his Confederacy, many Native tribes abandoned their alliance with the British, effectively ending organized resistance against American expansion in this region. The victory at Thames not only secured territorial gains but also elevated Harrison's status as a national hero. His leadership during this battle played a crucial role in his later political career, ultimately leading him to the presidency. The battle also had wider implications for U.S. policy towards Native Americans, as it opened up opportunities for further westward expansion and settlement. The Battle of the Thames was instrumental in shaping U.S. control over the Northwest Territory. It resulted in a decisive military victory that dismantled British influence in the region and weakened Native American resistance significantly. This battle not only altered the course of the War of 1812 but also set a precedent for future U.S. territorial expansion into what would become modern-day Ohio, Indiana, Illinois, Michigan, Wisconsin, and beyond. The consequences of this engagement resonate through history as a defining moment in America's westward expansion narrative. The Battle of the Thames, fought on October 5, 1813, was a pivotal encounter during the War of 1812 that resulted in a significant victory for American forces led by Major General William Henry Harrison. This battle not only marked a turning point in the war but also played a crucial role in diminishing Native American resistance in the Northwest Territory. Harrison's strategic decisions during this battle were instrumental in achieving this victory against British and Native American forces. Context leading to the battle. Before the Battle of the Thames, General Harrison had already established himself as a capable leader. Following early defeats for American forces, he was appointed by President James Madison to command the Army of the Northwest. His leadership was tested at Fort Meigs, where he successfully repelled British attacks, setting the stage for his advance into Canada after the American naval victory at Lake Erie, which cut off British supply lines and forced their retreat. Key strategic decisions. 1. Capitalizing on naval victory. Harrison's first strategic decision was to leverage the recent American victory on Lake Erie. The success of Admiral Oliver Hazard Perry's fleet allowed Harrison to pursue British forces without the fear of naval interference. This control over Lake Erie enabled him to move his troops effectively and maintain pressure on British General Henry Procter and his Native American allies led by Tecumseh. 2. Coordination with cavalry. Harrison made a critical choice regarding troop deployment by utilizing his cavalry effectively. He placed Colonel Richard Mentor Johnson's mounted riflemen on the right flank, which proved essential for flanking maneuvers against British positions. This decision reflected his understanding of terrain and troop capabilities, allowing for a more dynamic approach to combat. 3. Adapting to enemy formations. Upon arriving at the battlefield, Harrison observed that Procter's troops were dispersed, rather than aligned in traditional close-order formations. Recognizing this vulnerability, he decided to exploit it by ordering a charge from his mounted infantry rather than a frontal assault with infantry alone. This adaptability showcased his tactical flexibility and understanding of battlefield dynamics. 4. Timing and initiative. Harrison's decision to initiate combat early in the day caught British forces off guard while they were still preparing breakfast. This timing was crucial as it disrupted their organization and morale, leading to confusion among Proctor's troops when faced with an immediate attack. 5. Directing troop movements, Harrison directed his troops to concentrate their efforts on breaking through the British lines swiftly. He ordered Major Elizur Wood to conduct reconnaissance, which confirmed that an immediate charge could be successful due to the disarray within British ranks. This decision facilitated a rapid engagement that overwhelmed British defenses before they could properly respond. 6. Focus on Tecumseh. Understanding the importance of Tecumseh's leadership within Native American forces, Harrison aimed to neutralize this threat decisively. The death of Tecumseh during the battle not only demoralized his warriors but also significantly weakened Native resistance in subsequent years' outcome and implications. The culmination of these strategic decisions led to a decisive American victory at the Battle of the Thames, resulting in substantial British casualties and capturing many troops. The battle significantly diminished Native American resistance in the region and solidified Harrison's reputation as a military leader, ultimately paving his way to the presidency. In conclusion, General William Henry Harrison's strategic decisions during the Battle of the Thames were characterized by effective use of naval power, tactical adaptability, timely engagement, and a focus on key enemy leaders. These choices not only secured an important military victory but also shaped the future trajectory of U.S. Native relations in North America following the War of 1812. The death of Tecumseh, the Shawnee chief and a pivotal figure in Native American resistance against American expansion, marked a significant turning point in the struggle for indigenous rights and land in the Northwest Territory. Tecumseh's vision of a united Native American Confederacy aimed at halting the encroachment of settlers was not only a military campaign, but also a cultural and political movement. His demise at the Battle of the Thames in 1813 had profound implications for Native American resistance, leading to both immediate and long-term consequences. Tecumseh's leadership and vision. Tecumseh emerged as a leader during a time of great turmoil for Native Americans. In the early 1800s, he sought to unify various tribes in the Northwest Territory against the growing threat of American settlers. His efforts included forming a confederacy that spanned from present-day Michigan to Georgia, advocating for a return to traditional ways and communal land ownership, which he believed was essential for indigenous survival. Tecumseh's leadership was characterized by his powerful oratory skills and his ability to inspire diverse tribes to join his cause. He warned against the dangers of individual treaties with the U.S. government, arguing that no single tribe had the right to sell land without the consent of all tribes. The impact of Tecumseh's death and immediate effects on resistance. The death of Tecumseh during the Battle of the Thames had immediate repercussions for Native American resistance. His fall demoralized his forces, leading to a rapid disintegration of the Confederacy he had worked so hard to build. Following his death, many Native warriors fled, believing that their cause had been irrevocably lost. Battle itself marked a decisive victory for American forces, solidifying U.S. control over the Northwest Territory and effectively ending serious organized resistance in that region. Long-term consequence. In the aftermath of Tecumseh's death, Native American resistance did not vanish entirely, rather, transformed. While organized military efforts diminished, individual tribes continued to fight for their rights and lands through various means, including legal battles and smaller-scale conflicts. However, without Tecumseh's unifying vision and leadership, these efforts often lacked coordination and strength. Narrative surrounding Tecumseh also evolved after his death. He became a symbol of indigenous resistance and resilience. His legacy inspired future generations of Native Americans who would continue to advocate for their rights and sovereignty. The romanticized image of Tecumseh as a noble warrior fighting against overwhelming odds became ingrained in both indigenous and settler narratives, serving as a source of inspiration for various movements throughout history. Cultural legacy. Tecumseh's death also contributed to his transformation into a folk hero. His story became part of American folklore, with his life and struggles depicted in songs, poems, an artwork that celebrated his resistance against colonial expansion, this duality being both a celebrated figure among Native Americans and an appropriated symbol within settler culture reflects the complexities surrounding his legacy. Moreover, Tecumseh's vision for unity among tribes continued to resonate. Subsequent leaders drew upon his ideas when organizing resistance movements against U.S. policies aimed at dispossessing indigenous peoples of their lands. The concept of pan-Indian unity that Tecumseh championed would be revisited by later leaders during critical moments in history, such as during the Indian Wars and the civil rights movements of the 20th century. Tecumseh's death marked not only the end of an era of organized resistance in the Northwest Territory but also catalyzed a shift in how Native Americans would approach their struggle for rights and recognition. While it resulted in immediate setbacks for Indigenous peoples, it also laid the groundwork for future movements advocating for sovereignty, land rights, and cultural preservation. The enduring legacy of Tecumseh serves as a powerful reminder of the complexities surrounding Indigenous resistance and identity in North America.